This is the most valuable currency that they've ever given us. Now, FE is a resource management game, and this is essentially a shortcut through that gives you expensive fodder, premium units, and just has a touch of RNG as opposed to the heaping helpings of it that we normally get. Now, this is an otherworldly bond that we get through Binding Worlds, which is a holoform style gameplay. You use your friends' units, you can purchase one of those units, and you only get one per event. What I wanted to do is make a guide for how to use these, how to pick units, all of that great stuff. We're going to go over the difference between the formas, the skills you should target. We'll talk about 2 different paths you can take, be that account progression or unit performance. We'll look at some sample formas, and then if you stick around to the end, we're going to talk about orb packs and their value and which ones you should be picking. Now, what I want to know from you guys is, who would your ideal otherworldly bond be spent on? Which is your dream unit? Otherworldly bonds are Forma souls, but way better. You get access to more units, more skills. You're still limited by release date, but if you want to think about it, it's Ninja Lin and Brave Edelgard and older, which is a lot of good units. Your unit choice is random, but it includes units from your friends list. Beyond that, you get arcane weapons, traits, and max flowers. Summoners. This is a fantastic opportunity, and it's going to come around about once every other month. Now, what makes these so valuable is really the fodder you can get. It's the biggest advantage of these. There are a few exclusive skills you can get, like the duel skills and the ARD skills and disarm trap that you weren't able to get before. That, along with the arcane weapons, already expands what you can do with this currency so much more. There are a few rare skills that you want to target, and mainly I'm talking about the tier 4B skills that allow you to score better. And the dragons have got some excellent ones of these. We've gotten some weird chills, but Special Spiral 4 is amazing, as is Mystic Boost 4. The last category of these are valuable skills, and these are on units that you don't want to fodder, like Panic Smoke 4, or specials that just take your unit to another level, like Godlike Reflexes, Vital Astra, Ruptured Sky, Blue Flame. All of these are fantastic. And this is also fodder that is in your barracks, but you don't want to use. Like Speed Preempt, Infantry Speed Tactic, Canto Control, Oath Skills, and Finish Skills. Because sometimes you just want to keep your units. Now, what I want to say is these are all fantastic targets, but understand that while you prefer rare skills, it is more important to have a functional kit on the unit you get. So keep in mind, either that unit needs to function as is, or you need to be prepared with the fodder in your barracks. Now, there are 2 big different reasons that you would go after these otherworldly bonds, and they are either you're progressing your account or you want a busted unit. There is some overlap between the 2, but there is a very special set of priorities for account progression, which is what I want to go over first. Now, the first priority for you should be merges on core mythics or legendaries, because that is how your account progresses. Priority 2 should be units that boost your score as a one-off, like in Resonant Battles or even in Milner's Strike. This includes some defensive mythics as well, because they limit the lift loss on your poor defense that might just get pummeled by that Brave Seliph that just keeps on coming after me. Priority 3 is units that get a huge combat boost out of the fodder. These are units that something new has come along that absolutely changes their kit, and you should definitely be looking at these. But let's look at the tier list to show you examples of what I'm talking about. As you guys expected, this is all mythics and legendaries. Now, if we start at the very bottom, these tier 4 units, these are units that can help if they're already merged but somehow need fodder, but for the most part, these are score bots. These are units like Fjorm, who score well and can be used in an AR rotation as a bonus unit and also as a legendary. Sometimes these are units that you just gamble on, sometimes these are units that are favorites, but they're not particularly helping you. We move on to tier 3. These are units that perform fine with their base kit, possibly they just don't need the fodder, or these are score bots with potential to do a lot of damage. A great example is Gunthra. Gunthra in the right situation can just wreck things, and can you imagine her with Panic Smoke 4? We also have some higher scoring legendaries that will hopefully get a refine. Please, Legendary Seliph, please. Moving on to tier 2. These are role players that contribute in a single facet. You get limited benefits out of merges here, like Harmonic Mia. Resonant Battles doesn't exactly need a lot of merges for you to compete there, so these are fun units to pick up in this format. Another example is Duma, who I really think is a fantastic unit, but if we're looking at him from the perspective of scoring, he doesn't particularly benefit you to merge all the way up, and his base kit works relatively fine. Also, in his role as an armor and a defense mythic, he doesn't get the full benefit from merges. So he's not a fantastic candidate for this. We move on to tier 1. These are offensive mythics that aren't elite. And the big thing is they can still help you a ton. like Freya, with the right fodder, can actually be a fantastic pot hound and can benefit you a lot. But another great example is Yoon. She's very anti-meta right now. She takes out a lot of the units that will plague you, such as Brave Dimitri, even Brave Hector, although he's starting to fade away. With Katria support, he is absolutely phenomenal. We then move into tier 0 units, and these are units that either are elite or units that get boosted onto just another level when you add in fodder. Peony and Plumeria, I mean, these are still amazing units years later. If you wanted to merge them up, you could use them in just about any mode you wanted. They are fantastic. I don't need to say much more. But we've got units like Legendary Dimitri, who benefited a lot from the fodder of the past year, like Vital Astra. And when you add that in, this unit gets boosted to a whole nother level and performs very, very well. But let's talk about the other reason that you'd want to use your Otherworldly Bond. Unit performance is also an excellent path to go down if you need some unit to increase the value of your barracks. The priority 1 here are units that benefit the most from rare and high level fodder. Either they have an interesting stat line, or they have interesting preference weapons or skills that synergize with new fodder. Priority 2 are units that do something that you don't already have in your barracks. Do you need a nuke? Do you need a debuffer? Do you need a savior? Or do you need some special support? Those are that priority 2. Priority 3 are, who have you always wanted to build? Listen, there is nothing wrong with using your Otherworldly Bond for priority 3. I just want to put that out there. There are units that if I see, I will go grab no matter what, like Horse Dimitri. I'm just hoping I get one of those. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I want to look at a group of units that benefit the most from this Otherworldly Bond. I know what you guys are thinking. Why Grail units? Listen, if you compare them to their 3-4-star counterparts, they get really good refines. They're easily mergeable, but they're very expensive to outfit. This is a way to kind of bypass the gacha, where you've got excellent units that you can add in excellent fodder to. It's a lot of value. Let's drop down and look at tier 4 though. Probably don't do these units. Maybe these are favorites that you've always wanted to build. Go there for and conquer and show me the highlight reel, because I love to see these kind of units succeed. But let's move on to tier 3, and a good example that embodies tier 3 is Fallen Takumi, where he just struggles in the current meta. He's still unique, but just doesn't have as much to contribute. Another example of this is Winter Cecilia, who I just absolutely love, but ranged armors just haven't gotten the same amount of attention from IS that they really could have. Tier 2 are units that perform a role or have the potential to get a great refine. And a great example of this is Gangrel. How many of you built this unit up? There are so many that wanted to use this unit in Arena, and he just never really lived up to the hype. But this is a chance to take that investment and make it worth something, because he actually isn't bad with a lot of great fodder, and he's got the possibility to get a really great refine. Tier 1, we get into the real contributors to the meta, and a great example of this is Kranya, who I think got a pretty decent refine, but she needs a team around her and some bolt tower luck. Still, full vantage and exposure, and you put the right fodder on her, and this unit absolutely excels and destroys some defenses. We move to tier 0. These are great refines, unique stat lines, and can absolutely maximize fodder. And I mean, the poster boy for this is Arden, and all I can say is rank 1 ARD Far Savior. Like, this is a key part of my team that gets rank 1 regularly. Summoners, this is a fantastic unit who you have to invest in to really get the most out of, and here's your chance. Another example, and we talked about this, is Fallen Delthea. Now, the problem with Fallen Delthea is she was Harmonic Sonya that didn't hit as hard. And hitting as hard is the point of a nuke. But you can go in there and you can add in Special Spiral 4 for damage reduction, and suddenly this unit with the right kit is amazing and can perform Harmonic Sonya role maybe not as well, but still very, very well. Now, we've taken a small section of the units that you can look at, but the same rules apply as you move on. I did want to go over some samples of what I'm looking at for builds, just so you can get a better idea of what to look for as you move forward. The first one I have up here is Peony, and Summoners, this is just an amazing unit who continues to hold value and probably will continue for quite some time. Mythic scoring hasn't changed, and this unit influences it a lot. With the right kit, once you merge her up, you can also use her in scoring modes, which is saying a lot. The next unit I want to talk about is Yoon. This is one of my favorites, but understand that at +0, this unit does a ton for your defense. She benefits so greatly from this fodder. This build here is an absolutely fantastic nuker for Brave Dimitri, Brave Hector. We already talked about this, but with this build, she's also great against dragons. And this is just a lot of fun to see. With this build, you're saving a year's worth of flowers and 480 orbs of fodder. That is significant. The next one is kind of fun. This is Tiki. And Summoners, in Resonant Battles, if you have a +1 of 2 of these units, then in general, you're going to stay in interval 21, which is not a lot of investment. So this is a way to get a leg up on that mode and get the maximum rewards that you can get out of that. Now, this is 6 months of flowers and 480 orbs of fodder. This unit actually performs fairly well though, and can be a lot of fun to use. It's possible if you saw this one, you would definitely want the arcane weapon with her, and then you could swap between the two, but I wanted to put the build that you would most likely be using in the Resonant Battles mode. Kaze is a unit that you would look at and probably not give a second glance to, because why would you fodder a Volk to him? Like, it takes so much to get this unit up and going. 600 orbs is a ton. But Summoners, if this is a unit that is your favorite, or you want to use something that's just not on the beaten path, this is a great option who hits really hard. Lethality is still better than Special Spiral 4 just in the amount of damage output, and this unit can get there faster with Flashing Blade in their weapon. With Katria support, this unit will be a great contributor in both ARD and Summoner duels. Now you look at Faye, and this is a unit that so many people just absolutely love, and this is an example of a favorite that you can just dump things on. This is fantastic here, and with this kit, she actually survives a whole lot of things and does a lot of damage as well. These Gen 1 units are just so fun to use and to try to challenge yourself to get to work, and this is a shortcut to get you there. It's one of the great things about Otherworldly Bonds. I look forward to seeing all the creative Gen 1 things that just pop out of the woodwork because of this mode. Now, the last thing I want to look at, there are some units that have specific builds that you'll want to target just regardless of anything else. You're only saving 200 orbs worth of fodder, and you probably have one of these in your barracks. But if you don't have this specific build, this is a unit worth getting. This Close Defense 4, DR near save or AD near save, it doesn't really matter, but this unit is the near savior. The best one in the game, and this build is the best near save build in all the game for ARD. I cannot stress enough how many things this thing keeps from storming your defense. So for certain meta builds, it is worth it to go out and use that currency. So we've come all the way back around. We've talked about all the different things you can get, all the value you can get out of this. I wanted to look at this in regards to the other orb packs that you can buy. And there just really isn't a comparison. This gives you your choice from a random set, but your choice of a premium unit. You get premium fodder, max flowers, and removes a large portion of the RNG from this game, which is what can make it so frustrating. The second most value is definitely the Formas pack itself, and I do like that it's that it's only $30 as opposed to $55. Still, the value that you get out of the Otherworldly Bond is definitely higher. All the others at least give you something in there, be it flowers or a unit or even tickets. I will say that the worst is this customization pack, which kind of makes me sad because I just absolutely love these things. But the fact is, it is only $9. So if you're splurging, it's one thing to spend $9 versus $55. So if you want to spend your money, the Otherworldly Bond pack is it. Just remember that you get to pick your unit from a random set. I know this is a set loosely based on your friends list, but loosely based. I'm serious, summoners. Go back and look at your Otherworldly Bonds, scroll through and see what you got there. That is kind of the cross-section of what you're going to be able to purchase in this next round. And with that, make sure you don't buy one of these until after you've gone through and seen the set of units that you get to pick from. You want to make sure that the unit that you wanted is there before you buy the pack. The last thing I want to talk about is make sure you're spending wisely. Just like Fae is a resource management game where you want to manage your orbs and your feathers and everything else, make sure you are managing your real life resources well. The best thing I can say is don't impulse buy. Make sure you are making a budget and saying, this is how much I want to spend on this game, which I don't think there's anything wrong with, as long as you are planning. When we get into trouble is when we impulse buy. The one other thing I'll mention, summoners, if you're more interested in things that I think are good investments and how many orbs it costs for one of the best units in the game, go check out my Sather analysis. Quick thanks to some of the scripters who really bailed me out here. I had a lot of family stuff going on, and John, Riven, FJ, Moon, and Conquest, you guys are amazing helping me get through this episode. Take care, summoners, and schedule an appointment with your FEHology just real soon.